Happy 31 days of horror, and I am talking Star Trek horror. That is the original series episode called The Devil in the Dark. I showed it to my kids, and they love it, but they're also terrified of it. So we're going to go through this episode and just point out some stuff that stood out to my kids and talk about how I think this is the perfect Star Trek horror Halloween episode. And watching the episode is kind of becoming a family tradition for us in October. I even have a thematic shirt on. One really cool thing about this show on Blu-ray is this. You can actually switch back and forth between the original special effects and the new special effects. So it's the absolute best of both worlds, and how all remasterings should be done that have like heavy special effects that need to be redone. So Blu-rays on these, definitely recommend. Also, look at this incredible steelbook. The discs are all stacked inside, so they're kind of hard to get out, but my goodness. That's so awesome. I just want to hang it on the wall. So the opening scene has this like paper mache looking cave. It might even just be like crinkled paper that they made into a cave. So all these guys leave this security guy in the cave all alone by himself. So it's already setting the mood to be a perfect horror story or a perfect Halloween episode. Here goes the attack. This part scared my kids.
Captain's log, stardate 3196.
So I love Scotty talking, or Kirk talking to Scotty here about how he needs to take care of this machinery he's making, and it's just he says it in such a original series Kirk way. I just have to show it.
Kind words, tender loving care, kiss it, bathe it, flatter it if you have to, but keep it going. I'll do that kind of stuff.
There's nothing I love more than to see a whole bunch of red shirts getting an assignment to go down a cave with a monster in it. So this is where horror and Star Trek intersect, because you have the red shirts who frequently, like, sometimes it's no fault of their own, but other times, like, they just go off the rails and get killed. But horror movies, you gather up and you go after the monster. So it's like a classic monster movie episode. Look at this bright young actor. His sizzling body on the floor. But yeah, so they split up and they're starting to get eliminated one at a time. So other than the red shirts' deaths being funny and somebody in a blanket coming towards them in front of the camera being funny, the one thing I love about this show is just the heart that everybody puts into it. And right here, where you see that Kirk is like mourning the loss of one of his crewmen's, just look at how his face and the music go together to show that he's mourning one of his people. I think it's really touching. Then Kirk and Spock get surprised by the Horta is its name. And that is the name of the game that me and the kids play on the trampoline with a blanket. It is called the Horta. And here it is. It looks like a pizza. Look at this. It's just a guy like under like a blanket crawling. So my kids were getting stressed out, even though they were having a good time because they always love watching TV and Star Trek with Daddy. But you have Kirk and Spock separating, which my Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master heart was happy because I always want the party to separate. So they're separating, and my 3-year-old son started getting some major anxiety. So as they start crawling down this hole, he goes, I don't want them to go in there. Like, he's really upset that Kirk and Spock are going in these tunnels. So he's like, I don't want them to go in there. Go out, go out. And when my kids are yelling at the TV for the characters to do stuff, I think we're having a good time. And it fits right into like the Halloween horror type show where you're yelling at the characters like, look behind you, or don't go upstairs, stupid, go outside. So they've split up, and Kirk and Spock are going their own separate ways, and the Horta shows up and causes a collapse onto this poor young stuntman that doesn't look anything like William Shatner. But they're on the phone. Kirk and Spock are on the phone together, walking and talking, and Spock, of course, is calling him captain and being very formal. But the one thing that I love about this show, and I think I've said that about 5 times now, the one thing that I love about the show, but the one thing that I love about this show is Spock trying to hide his human emotions. I think like almost just looking for his emotions in every episode is worth watching the entire series. So the one thing that brings his emotions out more than anything is when Kirk is threatened.
Captain.
So he's saying captain, but then he starts to get worried.
You all right?
Doesn't hear from him right away. And he switches to Jim. And then this.
Yes, Mr. Spock, all right.
So going back in time a little bit before the cave-in and we see Spock's emotional outburst is something, the one thing that I love about this show is how they try to protect life at all costs. And it's always interesting, like the kill it, preserve it kind of dichotomy, like back and forth. And what Spock says right here totally exemplifies that.
It is the last of a race of creatures which made these tunnels. If so, if it is the only survivor of a dead race, to kill it would be a crime against science.
So I always appreciate that Kirk is a man of action and like good at violence and stuff, but it's always a last resort. That's one thing I love about the show. Perfect place to pause it. So we get some high quality, awesome, redone, and yet keeping the spirit of the original special effects here. And this is when my 4-year-old daughter started yelling at the TV. So this thing comes through the wall. Dude in a blanket comes climbing through the wall. And she starts screaming at Kirk. She's like, shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. Look at that manly Kirk pose. That is amazing. Well, if the kids are being traumatized by this episode, we're sure all having a good time while it happens. So the thing I love about this show, like I said, is them just giving it their all. And Spock is using the Vulcan mind meld to connect minds with this creature. And I love this so much.
Pain! Pain!
But the creature's in pain and he's sensing it. So while this is like a horror episode and a perfect Halloween episode for 31 days of horror, 31 days of Halloween, it's still a Star Trek episode, which means they're still trying to communicate with the life. And so you had a whole bunch of kills at the beginning, but then it starts to turn more Star Trek-y. But then there's some definite horror tropes coming up at the end. So stay tuned.
Thousands. Devils. Help it. Treat it. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. You're a healer. There's a patient. That's an order.
So I think this show is at its very best when these 3 are on the screen together. And the one thing I love is when you get Bones and his classic lines of, I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer or something like that. But I just love the swagger of Kirk's command where he's just like, you're a healer, go heal it, like fix it. And he's like telling Scotty, like, kiss this thing, make it work. And he's just like, just tells his people to just do it. It's the best. So they discover why the beast has been killing everybody because they got into its egg layer and accidentally killed its eggs. Okay, so here is the part that I think falls into another horror trope, and that is crowds of people turning on each other or turning against each other or becoming like zombies or becoming large hordes to go hunt monsters. But you have these 3 red shirts who are guarding the miners from going down the cave and seeing the monster, because everyone's been down there to kill the monster. But now, once Kirk and Spock start becoming friends with it and Bones is healing it, these guys can't let any of these other guys come down because they're a hostile crowd. And like every horror movie ever, what happens to the hostile crowd?
They're coming.
They turn their back and they get red shirted. Angry mob, here we go. I love Bones' self-satisfied face as he basically used mortar to repair the Horta. Pain! Pain! So my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, noticed something immediately on this scene.
Very good, Mrs. Spock.
As we hear the miners talking to the Enterprise about how they're now friends with the Hortas. But what my daughter noticed on this shot of the bridge is that Uhura is not there. So my 6-year-old daughter is like, where's Uhura? Because she's in the little books we have. We have the little golden books and the little Fun with Kirk and Spock book. So they want to know where the cast and crew is. Also, she's seen other episodes with her. So the one thing I love about this show is that almost every episode ends with like a joke and some quirky music. So he's talking about the Horta liking his ears.
The Horta is a remarkably intelligent and sensitive creature with impeccable taste.
Because she approved of you.
Really, Captain, my modesty
Does not bear close examination, Mr. Spock. I suspect you're becoming more and more human all the time.
Here's the joke. Wah, wah.
Captain, I see no reason to stand here and be insulted.
So you've got Spock being like, don't call me a human, I'm going to be insulted. And yet, earlier in the episode, his emotions are all leaking out everywhere and he's acting all human. So it's just funny how he's trying to hold it down. The Fun with Kirk and Spock book even says, see Spock push his emotions down. Push. What does he say? Like, down, down, down. Anyway, it's just Spock trying to push his emotions down in every episode. Love it. Love it. So this episode, Devil in the Dark, is a perfect Halloween episode and is apparently turning into a family tradition with me and my kids watching this in October. So it has all the things. It's got the monster often people at the beginning, the people grouping together trying to find it, and the horde of reckless people at the end. But then it has those things about Star Trek that I love. So happy Halloween, and I'll see you on the next one.